Hello, so this video is going to explain how to add your clips, your sticky backs, your zip ties to a harness so you can create a harness drawing. A few things you need to do. We're really just going to do the setup before you'd actually go ahead and go to the drawing as you would normally go to. A few things that you need to take advantage of first, of course, is on the electrical space, make sure that you have your wires and your cables or your harness is set up correctly. If you are using cables, make sure you go ahead and highlight those lines, those wires, and turn them into a cable, associate cable cores, or take those wires and connectors and right click and turn them into a harness. Just really administratively taking all your information and adding another layer of metadata to it. So once you have that set up, I already have mine set up as a harness. So you can see my 3 wires and my 4 connectors there. And from there, what we're going to do is actually most of the information we're going to work with is on the 3D side. So we see here I'm going to actually be working with, wrong image. I'm going to be actually working with something that looks like this. We have our power connector to our couple terminal spades, a ring terminal, and we're going to add our sticky back in. So what we're going to do is first thing is let's go ahead and set up the appropriate information. I turned off, I do have an EW path in here. For this instance, I turned it off because I'm going to auto route to the sticky back, and we'll see how that works in just a minute. So of course, every component we have that we're going to route to needs to have you can see those little black arrows in there. 1, 2, 3 in here, potentially 6 if you need to. Those are your connection points that are associated to your connections on your 2D side. Those are already set up, but what we're concerned with is how do we get it through the sticky back. We actually need to go ahead and add some intelligence to those. So I'm going to go ahead and open that part, and I'm pretty sure I have it open already. Yep. So we have this part here. And I've gone ahead and you can see these sketch lines in the middle here and a couple sketch points. I've set these up ahead of time. And we're going to actually use those in the routing component wizard that's through the electrical tab, not the electrical 3D tab, but the electrical tab. So in order to set those up, obviously we're going to go ahead and I just simply set up a sketch off of this plane, and I added a sketch point at that point, and then I did the same thing. I created another sketch plane off of that, and I created another sketch point, and then I used a 3D sketch um, under the sketch tab, 3D sketch. I used construction lines, and I just connected the 2 points, and then from the midpoint of that I created another small construction line that goes along my in this case y-axis. So once those are set up, what we want to do is actually go into the routing tab, tools tab under routing, and go to the routing library manager. And once we set that up, this could take, mine usually takes about 10 seconds for this to open. We're actually going to use those sketch points and lines to add that intelligence to that sticky back. So we'll give this a second to actually to route. I'm sorry, not route. We're not getting there yet. To open. And there's a whole bunch of features in here, but what we want to do is route the routing component wizard. So we'll go to routing component wizard, and you have different options as far as what type of route. So of course for this one I'm going to use electrical, and then what type of component is it. So I'm going to use it as a clip. There's a whole bunch of different ones you can actually choose from. So we'll go ahead and set that up. Now here, if we see on the right hand side, there's those sketch points that I set up already. So I'm actually going to add these to this component. Wait for the window to open up again. We'll add another one. And now we have our two R points set up. So the next thing we want to set up is our axis, our clip axis and our axis of rotation. So we'll go ahead and create a new clip axis like so. And we will add our axis of rotation. Now these are required to have in there. You can see in red, there's a little key at the bottom to let you know what's required, what's not. And then finally, we will go in and we'll set up a simple smart mate. You can be as detailed with the mating as necessary, but for this, I'm going to go ahead and actually uh, choose just the bottom face. I'm going to set it up as a coincident mate so that when I drag it into my model, my assembly, it's going to stick right to the wall. From there, you can just use a parallel mate or some other type of mate to make sure you get it lined up with all the other sticky backs, or up in the corner somewhere in the cabinet. You can also do some other information with configurations. I'm not going to bother doing that right now as far as setting up. So I'm going to save this, and I can close out of that. Of course, if you have other components, you'd want to set them up in the same manner as this. So what we have is, we can close that guy out. So once we set that up, another step we have to take, and you might already have yours set up, there's the option of the electrical, adding your electrical design library. We can see all these parts are already in my design library. If they're not in your design library, what you'd want to do is go to the top here, where under just above SOLIDWORKS content, and there's the add file location. In here, you can go to your specific location for that electrical folder, and this is my directory. It might be similar to what you have. Program data, SOLIDWORKS 2017, design library, routing, electrical. Obviously, depending on what version you're running, I have 2017, if it's 16, 15, so on and so forth. Obviously, also depends on whether or not you have server installation. But just to kind of get an idea of where to find that if you can't find it in your computer. So once you get that in there, there's a whole bunch of different folders inside that electrical design library, and what I want to do is actually grab that new one that I just made, that cable tie management number 2, and I'm going to drag it into, actually, nope, I don't want to do that yet. Don't want to put that in there yet. I want to put that in after, actually. So first thing I want to do is actually go ahead and I want to route my harness. So I'm gonna start routing my harness. I want to pause for just a second because it could take a minute or two, so we don't have to sit here and watch the whole harness being route. Obviously, in order to route the harness, I'm going to go ahead and route harness. I only have one harness in this, and I'll let the software do what it needs to do, and I'll be back in just a minute or two. Okay, so my harness finished routing. From here, what we have is, it looks like 3 wires, but the main reason why it doesn't have any type of insulation around or anything like that is because I did not have an EW path, and so the shortest, pretty much the shortest path of resistance, it just went from point A to point B. So, which isn't a problem. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go ahead and add a sticky back to our harness. So inside of our feature tree, we have our new harness assembly. And what I want to do from here is actually go in and edit that route of that assembly. And we'll notice that the tree, that feature in the tree turns blue. And that's what we need it to look like. So once we're in edit mode for that harness, now we can come back into that design library, that electrical tab, and find the part we want. So let's go to that cable tie that we edited before, and I'm going to drop it in, set my configuration that I want, and now this part this component is a part of this harness. So if we go into our in the same harness, we can go to its components, and we can see that we've added that cable tie to the harness. So from here, once we set that up, we can then start snapping these lines, these cables or wires, or even the full harness into that zip tie. So in order to do that, we need to go to the electrical tab, um, auto route, and we can go ahead and find the sketch line, and we're going to use that axis line that we created before, the clip axis, like so. I typically like to use, you don't necessarily have to, I find it works a little easier for me, is I just use auto route, route one cable, green checkbox to end the command, and then if I have multiple cables to route through that one, I will go back and do it again. And just like that, I have my two wires going through there. So from here, if we notice in the top left corner, I'm still in the edit harness mode. So I want to back out of that. And then go to the top level assembly. And we can see our harness is now a part of that. Obviously it's going through here. I'd probably want to add another clip somewhere down here, maybe use this one, and drop that down. The clip needs to be a part of the harness ultimately for it to route and create in that drawing. So from here, to get to the drawing, what I want to do is actually go ahead and right click on that harness, and I'm going to flatten route. And from here I can take a look at all the different views, and we can see that I have my clip in my harness. And now it's just like you would before with all of your drawing tools. You're going to go to either annotation or manufacturer. You can set the orientation of how you want it to be laid out on a sheet. For this though, in order to show the clip, you need to make sure flatten clip is on. And then from there you can also drop it on a sheet if necessary. And that's pretty much it. That's the gist of how to add that. It's all those little tiny things that make sure that you're able to add that to the harness first, is giving that clip the intelligence, and then of course adding that after you've routed, by editing that route. So I hope this helps, and again, feel free to send me any questions, and I'll try to answer them best I can. Thank you.